Hello again. I observed that a couple more people have been shot dead in America by the police. This is, of course, regrettable, but easily avoidable. Coming as these deaths do during the trial of the police officer who was involved in the death of Floyd George last summer, I think these latest shootings have a fair chance of raising the temperature among the more excitable elements of society and make the chances of rioting breaking out in the United States in the next few weeks when the verdict in that particular trial is delivered that much higher. I thought it might be helpful if I gave a few hints and tips on how to stay safe when dealing with the police in any country. I realise that these days I present like some amiable and good-natured old buffer, like some sort of retired uncle or something, who always seems laid back and relaxed. But it was not always so. I've had quite a few brushes with the police in various countries, including Northern Ireland, Russia, or Soviet Union as it was, Turkey, Syria, Jordan, Israel. None of these incidents were caused by anything particularly serious. It was often just that I seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. For example, I was in Istanbul in 1978 when a low-level civil war was taking place. I was caught up in a riot there when a sniper began shooting at the police from a rooftop, and the police were very annoyed by this. They cleared the streets by pistol whipping people round the faces and laying about them with rubber truncheons and so on. When, during these tense moments, a police officer approached me with a pistol in his hand and gestured like this, I correctly guessed that he wanted me to raise my hands. I was happy to oblige. Then, when he'd gone through my pockets, he made eye contact in a menacing way and pointed down the road like that. I thought he probably wanted me to make myself scarce and did so at once. This is a perfect illustration of how to deal with armed police officers, particularly if they have a weapon out and actually in their hands. The way to avoid being killed by a police officer can really be summed up in 5 words. Do as you are told. If a police officer says, get out of your vehicle, then get out of your vehicle at once. If you are told to stand right where you are or to raise your hands, then do this immediately without debating the point. In addition to this general advice, there are 2 more things to bear in mind when a policeman with a gun is taking an interest in you. One of these is not to make any sudden movements. And the second is to make sure that both your hands are in clear view at all times and you make it obvious that you haven't actually got anything in your hands. I'm bound to observe that the fact that people are being shot by the police in America probably has less to do with institutionalised racism than it does an apparent inability on the part of some people to follow simple instructions. When a police officer says, get in the police car, and you then enter through one door and then promptly try to escape by climbing out the other side of the vehicle, then the officers will get ticked off with you and things will end badly. Rookie error there by George Floyd, I fancy. In the more recent case in Minneapolis, Dante Wright was ordered from his car and the police found that there was a warrant for him. They told him to stand where he was and not get back into his car. Whereupon, instead of standing still, he got back into his car. You see the mistake here, and can you see the kind of pattern to which I'm drawing attention? My suspicion is that the seemingly high proportion of black men and Hispanics who are victims of this kind of incident has something to do with the fact that for whatever the reason, I don't know what it could be. It could be that they're suspicious of the police. These people are more likely to disobey the instructions which they are given. If a police officer says, get in the car, they try and escape. If he says, don't get in your car, then they do get in the car. As I remarked earlier, I've had dealings with a number of police forces notorious for being prone to shooting people or beating them up. And the way that I've avoided this happening to me is simply by doing as I'm told. I think some of the petty criminals in America might find that doing the same will make their lives safer and easier. Still on the subject of the police, a demonstration is planned for London later today against the new police crime sentencing and courts bill, which is making its way through Parliament. There was, of course, a riot in Bristol over this a short while ago. And I dare say there'll be trouble today as well. I can't help wondering why people are surprised at this. For American viewers, I should explain that the bill, or old bill, is English slang for the police, a bit like cops or pigs. One might say, here comes old Bill, meaning that the police are approaching. Calling a campaign Kill the Bill, as has been done with this series of protests, is therefore like saying in effect, kill the cops. I have no doubt at all that the police themselves are keenly aware of this play on words, and I can't think it is likely to make them well disposed to protesters when they hear chanting of kill the bill. I doubt that the choice of slogan was accidental.